Oh, I haven't got a mark, really.
Your chest all right?
Yeah, I just
Legs?
out of breath. Just knocked the wind out of me. I'm just great shape.
You broke my toy.
I know it. I lost our Gold Cup. That's where I hurt.
Well,
right
you're
hard.
okay. We can fix the boat.
Well, some toy. You heard owner Lee Shaneth say, "You broke my toy." Well, it sits on the bottom of the river right now. There's Bill Muncie's wife, Fran, coming to the pier to greet him, but he's all right, and we'll hear more from him a little later. Obviously, this has stopped things in Madison, Indiana, and the Gold Cup race for a little while. So while we're waiting for the action to resume here, we're going to reflect to an event seen earlier on ABC's Wide World of Sports, Bill Fleming and the International Motocross Motorcycle Race from Bay Mare, California. Keith Jackson back here at the pits along the Ohio River, Madison, Indiana, and we're just a few minutes away from the final heat in the Gold Cup race. With me, Bill Muncie, whom we have seen in action earlier today. You look drier.
You know what, Keith? I've never been one to believe really in luck. I believe in God, and I believe in preparation. And if you could make a differentiation between luck and breaks, I'd maybe listen to you a little bit. But today wasn't my day, I guess. We tried awfully hard. This is a fast track, and we were running very, very fast. It's one of those things.
Bill, I guess there's never been a Gold Cup race, or certainly not very many, in which they just ran off right on schedule and everything went according to plan. You have been involved in 3 incidences in which there have been some arguments and protests and what have you. We've heard the other side of it. Now we'd like to take some of our film, go back and freeze the frame, stop it, slow it down, and take a look at it with you.
Well, in my opinion, Leif Borgerson and the Hallmark Holmes were moving up into the apex of 2 rooster tails, the Budweisers and mine. And when he got up in there, if he'd have remained in the lane that he was in, I think he'd have probably negotiated the corner beautifully. But I think from a strategic point of view, he probably decided it'd be wiser not to take a chance and get wet down and to go through my tail and move on the outside. And sometimes this can work beautifully. You maintain your boat speed, you go through the tail, you don't get wet, you accelerate off the exit pin.
Now, here we are on the rerun of 1A, the Budweiser on the right and you on the left.
Well, my boat is a little bit out of attitude, and sometimes when you come down on it, it'll veer to the right or to the left. But in this instance, as you can see, we were able to go to we went to the port side just a bit, and there was enough room, another lane left there for the Budweiser to negotiate.
Heat 2B involving the Notre Dame and again the Budweiser. You're on the left, Notre Dame in the middle, and the Bud on the right. This is the only incidence in which there was a penalty call.
And this seems to be an identical situation where the Notre Dame is coming up into the apex of 2 rooster tails, the Budweisers and mine, and the throttle works both ways. You have to back off and go through a tail or stay in the lane that you're in. And I think if he'd have stayed in the lane that he was in, he had negotiated that corner in great shape. There was a lot of room for him to move there. But the rooster tails, as you turn left, fall to the right. And he probably didn't want to really get caught in either one of them. I think it was a mistake or an error in judgment.
Now in 3B, the pay and pack was penalized a lap, also involving the Notre Dame.
Well, it's an identical situation here. The pay and pack is free, and to the left you can see plenty of room for the Notre Dame and Bill Sterrett to move, but he chose to go through the rooster tail, or he went a little too hot, couldn't maintain the radius, and was forced to go through the tail.
All right, let's slow our picture down and take one more look at it. The Madison is tight on the buoy. Notre Dame is running last. Starts to slide out to the right as the field made its turn, and it was this moment that cost the pay and pack a lap penalty. The ruling was that he had chopped the Notre Dame, whereas I think you can see the Notre Dame seemed to slide off to the right as the rest of the field was making the turn. But judgment calls are always tough. And so we come to what is always the most exciting moment in any kind of racing competition, those few breathless moments just before the finale. Now here are the 5 boats that will go into the final heat. Atlas II, driven by Terry Sterrett with 1,100 points. Miss Madison, driven by Jim McCormick with 1,000 points. Pay and Pack, driven by Billy Shoemaker, 869 points. Town Club with Fred Alter driving, 750 points. And the Budweiser with Dean Chenoweth at the wheel, 700 points. Now let's consider the possibilities, looking at the Atlas II with 1,100 points and Madison with 1,000 points. If, for example, Madison should win the final heat, 400 points, Atlas II takes second place for 300 points, they would wind up tied in total points. The boat that comes across that finish line first, the order of finish, will determine the winner of the Gold Cup, even if they should wind up tied in points.
the final huddles for the final heat of the 1971 Gold Cup race. And Miss Budweiser, last year's national champion, last year's Gold Cup winner. On the right, George McKernan, his driver, Dean Chenoweth, co-owner, Bernie Little. Everybody has to know what's going on in this race, Keith, because the points are extremely important. The Budweiser hasn't had a great day today, but they might catch the Atlas Van Lines. Here you have them. Terry Starrett, Jim Kurth, Lee Shaneth. Everybody is talking about the strategy, because as you drive the boat, you've got to add the points. And here you have Jim McCormick, who, along with Harry Volpe and Tony Steinhauer and Bobby Humphrey, represent the city of Madison, who've done an amazing thing. Really, they went out and bid for the Gold Cup. They've staged it magnificently, and now they're on the threshold of possibly winning it. It's got to be a magnificent thing for them.
Seems to be pretty good. I believe the wind the way it is right now will be much better than it was yesterday, because it's dissipating the wake of the other boats with the chop, which is a lot better than having a flat water like we did yesterday when the wake of the other boat just lays there. I didn't notice any bad holes any place around that time.
Your acceleration's coming out will be all right, you think?
I think it's all right. It's not as good as it was with the 18-1/4 wheel, but we know that. We got a little more shoot speed and a little less RPM.
Okay, very good.
Okay, Jim, let's go put down the trailer. Good luck.
Okay, baby.
And I'll guarantee you, if Miss Madison should win it, this countryside will erupt with joy. We'll have a look at the final heat of the Gold Cup in just a moment. Before returning to Madison, Indiana, and more of the Gold Cup race, a reminder that next Saturday, ABC's Wide World of Sports will be in the Canadian province of Alberta for the Wild Calgary Stampede Rodeo. Cowboys from the United States and Canada compete in the always popular Saddlebrock, Brahma Bull, and steer wrestling events, along with the highly unusual and most exciting chuck wagon races. Also next Saturday, you'll see midget and sport biplane competition at the National Air Races from Reno, Nevada. So be sure to join us for rodeo and air races next Saturday on ABC's Wide World of Sports. The final heat of the Grand Prix in boat racing, the Gold Cup for unlimited hydroplanes. Atlas II, Miss Madison, Pay and Pack, Town Club, Budweiser, the starting clock. As it blacks out completely, here they come. It is a good start.
And Atlas Van Lines breaks on top heading into that first corner, Keith. It looks to me like the field as it moves down into that first corner is really moving. Well, this is the one where you let it all hang out. You turn out everything you've got and you hope for the best, because the points aren't that well distributed. You've got two strong boats with Atlas and the Madison with over 1,000 points, but here you've got the two strongest boats with the most points battling for first place, and Atlas comes off the corner first.
Atlas II with young 23-year-old Terry Starrett in his second year of driving the big boats. Leads coming off the first turn. Madison is second, and you know who they're rooting for. Madison on the inside, moving up in a hurry on the back straightaway. Jim McCormick pushing it, coming off the turn. He has the lead. So Jim McCormick in the lighter and perhaps more maneuverable Miss Madison grabs the lead. Terry Starrett and Atlas II is on the outside. And Bill, I think it should be noted here that the Atlas II is a heavier boat.
About 1,000 pounds heavier, I think, Keith. And Jim McCormick handled that beautifully, accelerating from 90 to 120 miles an hour, faster than anybody in racing today. And even though Terry came down the back chute, really smoking into that cut corner, he isn't able to stay with Jim McCormick coming off the corner and move down the front chute as Jim moves the Miss Madison at this point.
And as the Madison runs along in front of the Atlas, you can cut the anticipation of this big crowd. I won't say that everybody on shore is rooting for Miss Madison, but I'll guarantee you the bulk of them are. Jim McCormick running straight at you, 37-year-old. He's been around boat racing a long time. He's from Owensboro, Kentucky. He has never won a major unlimited hydroplane race. And setting the field, Miss Madison has a substantial lead, running in second place. Atlas Van Lines with Terry Starrett. In third place, Miss Budweiser with Dean Chenoweth. In fourth place, Pay and Pack Billy Shoemaker. In fifth place, Town Club Fred Alter. The Ohio River, very flat, very little current because a series of hydroelectric dams have been built, slowing down the current, and the running conditions right now are very good. And the running condition of Miss Madison, the lead boat, is very good as Jim McCormick has the field on his hip. He's running a little better than 102 miles an hour, so he is not in a position of coasting around waiting for somebody to break down. He has just simply taken the field by the horns, and he's given them a good shaking right now.
Nobody wants to deny the fact that the Miss Madison has been one of the most consistent performers all year long. They haven't been able to put a win together, but they've had people like the Atlas Van Lines here with Terry Sterrett just chasing them all over the United States, and McCormick with his consistencies plus determination after 10 years. I think it's going to be awfully tough to beat for the balance of this heat. In the meantime, Terry, he's a young guy. This is just the second event that he's driven this boat in, and I just think he's handled it beautifully all day long.
Certainly has. And also noting the point totals, the point leaders are Atlas 2 with 1,100 going into this final heat. Madison had 1,000. The other 3 boats in it in the 5-boat field over the 2.5-mile course can only hope that something happens to the 2 leaders, Pay and Pack Town Club and Budweiser. But right now, Madison continues to skim along. Very little cavitation in the turns as McCormick continues. And I said a moment ago, Bill, he has the field on his hip. Perhaps you could clarify that a little bit.
Well, of course, the boat is 30 foot long, and he's got a rooster tail back there about 150 feet. And as you can see, the water coming up off the Atlas Van Lines here with Terry, it's not a weapon, but it goes back a long way, and you can keep the balance of the field. You always to port, you know, or starboard.
As Dean Cheneyworth driving Miss Budweiser. Budweiser won it 1969, 1970. It looks grim for a chance to repeat. Here's one of the coming young drivers, Billy Shoemaker, in the Pay and Pack. The boat has run quite well here today, but he is running 4th right now. And in 5th spot is Fred Alter, and his boat, the Town Club, has been altered, as you can see. No tail on it, but Fred Alter drive a barrel if you put an engine on it, and be tough.
And Keith, here's where reliability becomes a factor. Everybody has established a position on the race course. We've got a lot of racing yet to go, and yet, can we stay glued together? Can we keep these machines moving at 4,000 revolutions per minute? Tremendous cockpit temperature, probably around 150 to 160 degrees. Every driver here will probably lose 5 to 8 pounds this afternoon. So try and live in a lane that is strategically sound enough that you can live with it, but maybe we'll break somebody else and move you up one slot.
Now, in the position that Jim McCormick enjoys right now, well out in front, it is a position every man would like to have, because at this moment, he has no pressure other than keeping his equipment alive.
And of course, the Allison is a critical engine, and the Rolls is a strong engine. The Rolls has a reputation for maybe a little more power at certain revolutions per minute. But on the other hand, they've had dependability here that is absolutely phenomenal.
Now, if he can keep it alive and bring it down to get the checkered flag, this countryside will burst with enthusiasm, because this is a community-owned boat, as we have pointed out. It is a boat that has not won a race since it won the Dixie Cup in 1965 with Buddy Byers driving. It won another smaller race in Seattle in 1961. 37-year-old Jim McCormick has never won a major unlimited hydroplane race. It is not a nickel and dime operation, but it is an operation that is supported by the men who live, work, and love Madison, Indiana. And they love this boat. The checkered flag is out. The crowd is on its feet. And here's the finish of the Gold Cup race, and Miss Madison has won it. In second place, Atlas Van Lines 2, Terry Sterrett driving. In third place, in the final heat, the Budweiser, Dean Cheneyworth driving it. And in fourth, Billy Shoemaker. And the Pride of Pay and Pack, owned by Dave Herrensberger. And Fred Alter in the Town Club finishes in fifth. Well, in the background, I think you can hear how these people feel about what has happened in front of them this afternoon as their boat has won the Gold Cup race. We'll be back to sample and enjoy some of this fun and happiness in just a moment. Well, they say a picture is worth 1,000 words. There's one right there. Jim McCormick's wife, Bonnie, the crew, the crowd, the town, They couldn't be happier. Miss Madison wins the Gold Cup at home. Tony Steinhardt, the manager of the Miss Madison crew, first on the boat.
Jimmy, congratulations.
Thank you, Keith, very much. I can't hardly believe it.
You never won one, and you won the big one in front of the hometown.
And this is the only one we've really been aiming for many, many years.
You guys were kind of sitting quietly here, just watching everybody else go out there and chunk away, and suddenly here you are in the driver's seat, and you took it the right way.
Well, they put it in there. They went over the engine the last heat, and they said, it's ready to go. Let's let it all hang out. We'll either win it or blow. Oh, Keith, you can't believe how happy we are, really.
I bet you are. I bet you are. Bless your heart. Celebrate with them.
We are going to celebrate.
Attaboy. Jim McCormick, the winner of the Gold Cup.
Oh, me, how about that?
Well, I guess, Bill Muncie, this should prove to be an inspiration to any community, anywhere that would like to have an unlimited hydroplane race. Madison, Indiana has proven that you can have it and you can succeed with it.
How many times have I heard, Keith, the mountain's there, it's very big, why do we climb it, and all that kind of thing? Why do we drive unlimited hydroplanes on the Ohio River in a Gold Cup? Here it is, a typical example, only because it's just a great experience to win.
Never won a race for 5 years, and he picked the Gold Cup at home. How about that?
And it sets in motion what surely will be the biggest celebration that Madison, Indiana has ever had. The final standings, Miss Madison wins at Atlas Band Lines as second, Pay and Pack third, Miss Budweiser 4, and Town Club 5th. The executive producer of ABC's Wide World of Sports is Roone Arledge. Gold Cup Hydroplane Race produced by Ned Steckel, directed by Don Ohlmeyer. International Cross-Country Motocross Motorcycle Race produced and directed by Andy Sedaris. Production coordinator for ABC's Wide World of Sports is Dennis Lewis. Program administrator, John Martin. Be sure to join us next Saturday on ABC's Wide World of Sports for the Calgary Stampede Rodeo along with the National Air Races. And now this is Keith Jackson, along with Bill Muncie, saying so long from Madison, Indiana. Air travel arranged through and promotional fee paid by American Airlines. American has more 747s flying to more places in the United States than any other airline. It's good to know you're on American. Today's program, pre-recorded.